Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the phrase, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, in this case, if Hasan Piker gives you slop, you make slopinade. And that's exactly what's going on here. This guy is a giga hypocrite, and once again, we're going to be looking at examples of him completely contradicting himself in the most shameless and embarrassing ways imaginable. And we're also going to look at his recent beef with XQC, where now he's even reaching for the race card to try to discard any valid criticisms that are being directed his way because of his constant support towards terrorist organizations and violent rhetoric. So let's begin the video off with some context here. So there is a race for mayor going on in New York City. Now you're probably wondering, Rev, why do we care? Well, it's relevant to Hasan Piker because this guy right here who's leading the race, Zohran Mamdani, he is someone who has been collaborating with Hasan Piker, getting photo ops, including ones with very clear paid sponsorships. And why would this matter? Why would this guy talking with Hasan matter that much? Well, unfortunately, Hasan is the guy who said America deserves 9/11. Now, especially for viewers overseas, let me make this very clear. This guy is running for mayor of New York City, and he's dabbing it up and collaborating with a guy who said America deserved 9/11. Yes, that happened in New York City, where thousands of residents were killed in those attacks. So that's a pretty embarrassing thing to say right from the jump. But on top of that, he has recently addressed some of those concerns. He's been carrying this sort of criticism about his comments about 9/11 for many years, but he feels a lot of pressure recently because of this collab, and he addresses everything, including also his canceling of a trip to Cuba.
I did cancel the Cuba trip, yes, because I didn't want to go to prison. And unfortunately, what's the context behind you saying U.S. deserved 9/11? It's very simple. American foreign policy and intervention in the region directly caused blowback and led to 9/11.
Whoa, now hold on a minute. Are you telling me Hasan Piker won't risk jail time to uphold his own beliefs? That's crazy, because for years he's been criticizing other content creators for not risking prison sentences to do what he considers the right thing. One example being Hila Klein. Hasan and his orbiters have criticized her for serving in the IDF, which is required by Israel. And they've said she should have gone to prison, refused service and gone to prison instead of serving in the IDF. But here he is shying away from a certain trip that might land him in prison. Oh, the hypocrisy. I can't believe it. From Hasan? Really? But of course, he also addresses the 9/11 comments that he's been criticized for many years, and the answer is just as lame as ever. It sounds like iDubbbz when he was trying to defend Hasan, basically saying stuff that would be really deep if you were like a 13-year-old on Reddit. Like, no, dude, your comments were gross, and it's very disturbing that this guy who wants to be the mayor of New York City, and likely will be, is collaborating and dabbing up with you. And also, I find it very ironic, the very obvious paid promotion here. It's actually insane. He is the best socialist I've ever seen in my life. Make the rich pay, ladies and gentlemen, by doing paid collabs with this guy. It's absolutely insane. Now, there's something else going on with the situation. It's been a bit of a build-up here, and this is really the main crux of the hypocrisy. So, not that long ago, Hasan was criticizing his critics and saying they should not have an opinion unless they can bench 225 for at least a decent 6 or 7 reps.
They love foreign policing.
You should be required to submit a video of you doing the same weight to be able to foreign police somebody else.
Okay.
I feel like the internet would be a better place if you did that.
I think you should be required to do that just to speak online. And if you can't clear 225 at least for like a decent 6 or 7, you should not be allowed to have any opinions on whatever I have to say.
Whoa, wait a second. Hasan Piker saying that 99+% of women shouldn't have an opinion? Based? Yeah, that wasn't really his intention, but of course he wants to dunk on people over physical strength because apparently that has something to do with the validity of your opinion online. But anyways, this whole thing is just laced in vanity, and he sets the standard that, well, if you can't bench 225 for 6 or 7 reps, your opinion just doesn't matter on the internet. Well, he's going to regret the irony of that because Zohran Mamdani, the soon-to-be mayor of New York City, has been getting a lot of criticism over the past couple of days because of his failure at this outdoor lifting event where he couldn't bench a single rep at 135 pounds. That is one 45-pound plate on each side. And I'm not going to lie to you, I started lifting when I was like 12 or 13. I was doing that almost immediately, and that's not impressive. I was like some scrawny kid. Like, I think most kids my age at that time could do it as well. So the fact that this guy can't even do one rep, I don't know. He's going to get clowned on this a lot. Now, of course, what is Hasan going to do? He's calling other people irrelevant. Their opinions irrelevant because they can't bench 225 for 6 or 7 reps. Now the guy he's simping over can't even do one rep at 135. What does he do now? Of course, he just continues on with blatant hypocrisy and tries to shame people who would dare to make fun of Zohran for not being able to bench 135 for a single rep. You can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, first of all, I hate being an annoying ass form police here, but like, Eric Adams is a lifelong lifter, and he's obviously in great shape for his age. Having said that, as a lifelong lifter, he knows better. He knows better. Why are you... Two things. One, making fun of someone for not being able to put up big weight is a big no-no, okay? That's number one. Making fun of someone for not being able to put up big weight is a major no-no in gym circles, okay? Only the weakest, most insecure people do that. That's number one. Number two, the only time when you can do that, the only time when it's valid is if someone is very clearly insecure about that and is behaving in like a way, like when they're doing it to other people. Like, it would be valid if I were to, for example, turn around and make fun of Eric Adams for demonstrating the worst form.
Hasan Piker is like the North Star of hypocrisy. Anything he says, any standard he sets, you know eventually down the road, he's going to be hypocritical by that standard he set for other people. So he wants to say, oh, you have no opinion unless you can bench 225 for at least 6 or 7 reps. And then he turns around and attacks people for making fun of Zohran for failing to bench 135 for a single rep. And he also goes on this tangent saying, hey, this isn't cool. You know, in this lifting sort of culture, you're not supposed to make fun of people. But then he turns around and criticizes the form of Mayor Eric Adams, saying his form isn't good, basically implying it doesn't really count, which is really, really odd. And also, again, blatant hypocrisy because he immediately goes on Twitter and mocks Donald Trump and what he would consider his ability to bench press while quoting Charlie Kirk. I'm pretty sure Hasan's going to be debating. That will be infinite content when that happens, if it does happen. But anyways, you can see the first reply, and it pretty much mops up the entire conversation. This person says, Hasan is really trying to bring up the physical strength of a 79-year-old to defend a 33-year-old being as weak as a 10-year-old. Pretty much. Just went on a tangent saying don't make fun of people for their perceived strength and what they can bench and what they can't bench. And then he immediately responds by saying, what's Donald Trump's bench press? This guy is brain broken, man. He can't go 2 seconds without being a massive hypocrite on pretty much everything he touches. Now, we're going to watch a quick clip from Asmongold. He brings up a very good point about this entire situation involving this soon-to-be mayor of New York City and why this can be so damaging. Please understand, especially if you're not from the United States or you don't understand what I'm going to talk about in just a second, this stuff is relevant. It may seem stupid, but you can't deny it might actually change some opinions.
The way this Zohran Mamdani had a really, really bad time. So it wasn't because of his policy. It wasn't because of anything else. It was because he couldn't do a bench press. That's right, guys. He couldn't bench press 135 pounds. You know what's really funny about this? I think this is really going to damage his reputation. I think it will. This will legitimately damage people's perception of him.
Oh, but Rev, that's so stupid. Why would someone care about something like this? Why would someone care if he can't bench 135? What does that have to do with his ability to lead a city? Well, of course, people make jokes about it nonstop. They'll call him weak. They'll say, how can this man carry a city when he can't even press 135? You know what I mean? That's American politics, unfortunately. And we've seen very small acts of cringe or weakness completely derail someone's political career. I don't know if all of you are old enough to remember, especially the Americans here. In 2004, the governor, I believe, of Vermont, Howard Dean, was making a presidential bid. And in one moment, his entire career collapsed. His presidential bid down the tubes. His career down the tubes. Just because of this. Just a few seconds.
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Ah!
That's it. His career's over. That little that was it. Done. He got completely made fun of to the point of irrelevancy. It's actually insane how quickly that simple screech derailed his entire presidential bid and his political career as well. It's actually insane. If you think it's crazy and far off, I'm telling you, stuff like this can really make a difference. But anyways, I also hinted at a beef with XQC between him and Hasan, and recently XQC won Streamer of the Decade, and man, the saltiness over that is pretty crazy. A lot of people are really upset about that. I don't really care for XQC, but just seeing people like seething over it's pretty funny. Like this mumbling guy here just completely made an entire generation of streamers get very, very angry because he got this award. But Hasan has been really brewing up a fight with XQC. Apparently these two used to be friends, but now Hasan believes that XQC's gone to the dark side, that he's, incorporating a monkey see, monkey do mentality with Asmongold, because of course this always goes back to Asmongold, where basically he's saying that he watched the right-wing commentary of Asmongold, which, again, I don't really know what kind of right-wing commentary from Asmongold he's referring to, but apparently that inspired XQC to copy the same rhetoric.
It even goes, the same thing is happening with right-wing commentary in general. Okay? That's what it is. Monkey see, monkey do. Other content creators see people like Asmongold popping off, fucking making like Nick Fuentes jokes or pointing to like anti-Semitic memes and shit. Maybe they don't see all of it, but they see most of the stuff that he's saying about like trans people, undocumented migrants. And then they go, well, this guy's popping saying this shit. I'm going to do it too. Greatest example of this is XQC. XQC has no fucking worldview. He doesn't give a fuck about anything. But he saw how much Asmongold was gaining prominence by doing this shit. So he tried to do it as well. And then his audience fucking yelled at him every goddamn day. And then he had to basically back away from it a little bit. He still tries it to his best ability. But that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hasan is a man of many hats. Not only is he a political superstar, he's also a mind reader. He can see inside the minds of people like XQC, and he knows exactly their intent. So when he's talking about a political subject or talking about any subject, he's clearly doing it because he's influenced by Asmongold. Because of course, everything comes back to Asmongold in the mind of Hasan Piker. But of course, this is a bunch of baloney. He's just making up stuff, trying to cope, and trying to reconcile with the fact that what he believes are ridiculous beliefs and commentary are much more relevant than he would like them to be. But there's one more clip I want to watch here. Hasan has pulled out the race card once again in his attempt to call XQC racist. Now, recently we saw a clip of Hasan trying to play both sides. He says on the one hand, he's white presenting, but on the other hand said he's brown. So he's trying to play both teams here, using whatever one's more convenient at the time. But in this case, he's trying to take criticism from XQC, who says he promotes terrorism, as simple racism, that XQC only came to this conclusion because he hates people like Hasan.
Don't promote gambling! Promote terrorism! Yes! Guys, don't gamble! Instead, be a terrorist! Boom!
Be a terrorist. I like that I like that he went. This is incredible. This is incredible political commentary. I'm glad that he's still doing that. I got destroyed in the marketplace of ideas. I can't really do nothing about that. Hasan intellectually destroyed in the marketplace of ideas. Yeah, Chatter was right. XUC was right about me. There's nothing I could do about that. It's weird how y'all were friends at once. Yeah. It's cool because, like, he basically went from he went from why are you calling me out for promoting gambling? I'm also racist as fuck.
Everyone who criticizes me is racist. No, dude, I think a lot of people make very valid criticisms of a guy who seems to glorify terrorist groups every other day. Like, there's a track record that's pretty much infinite at this point, where this guy has, in one way or another, supported or glorified multiple terrorist organizations. I mean, that's why people are criticizing you. At the end of the day, again, as I've stated before, looking at today's video, looking at pretty much every video about Hasan, it's never really about political policies. We're not saying, oh, this policy he supports, that's dumb. No, he says something ridiculous where he's either just being a blatant hypocrite, or he says something that common sense will dictate is something insane and something nobody should support. And that's another example of that happening right here. When you say this radicalized stuff, when you say things that a normal person would side-eye you for, of course people are not going to like you and not support you. That's not because of racism. It has nothing to do with race. But of course, he'll go the next level and say, I don't really understand why anyone like XQC would think I promote or support terrorism.
I know that a lot of people in these spaces just don't want to think too much or think too hard about, politics in general. And they want like a comfortable narrative. So they go, oh, dude, you promote terrorism. But like, that's, kind of a ridiculous thing to say about a dude. Kind of a ridiculous thing to say about a dude who's just like consistently been advocating to not murder children in Gaza, or just not murder children anywhere, really.
The man with the least amount of self-awareness. It's actually insane. I don't know if he's just trolling at this point. It is pretty frustrating seeing a guy with such a big audience who has no self-awareness and seemingly will do whatever he wants and will be gobbled up by his audience. I mean, this guy literally has to be trolling at this point. Why would anyone think you support terrorist organizations or terrorism? I don't know, dude. You said you have no issue with Hezbollah, a designated foreign terrorist organization. You've praised Yemen Houthi terrorists for seizing civilian ships. You've platformed terrorists. In fact, if you want to talk about going out there and trying to protect kids from these attacks, why didn't you ask your favorite Yemeni Houthi about why they constantly enslave children and murder hundreds, if not thousands of children? This is in official reports. Why didn't you grill the guy over that? Oh no, instead, I'm sorry. You asked him about One Piece and were glazing over him because he watches anime. That's right. Silly me. I thought the greatest political pundit of our generation would actually ask relevant questions instead of glossing over One Piece and acting like that's something that is a saving grace or something commendable to a active terrorist. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the content farm never ends. It never will end. There's no end in sight, ladies and gentlemen. The slop farm keeps going because this guy just cannot function without being a massive hypocrite or someone who supports something that is just morally dejectable. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.